Okay. Hello, I'm Jim Hall. I'm a candidate for the Board of Directors. Turn it over to Dee Dee.
Mhm. How long have you lived in HCR and what neighborhood are you in?
So we've lived in HCR since December of 2019 in La Vista.
Okay. What committees have you served on? If so, what leadership roles?
I was on the Buildings and Grounds Committee from time it was formed until the Common Area Committee was created. Didn't have any official representation, but I was the only Buildings and Grounds Committee member that went on to another committee, and I took over the Common Area Committee in July 2022, and I've been on that committee now since then, and I was the chair for 18 months.
How many committee meetings have you attended?
Well, all of the Common Area and Building and Grounds Committee, nearly all of the Finance Committee meetings, almost all of the Buildings and Maintenance Committees, because they're right before me. So those are the primary committees that interface with Common Area.
What board of directors have you served on, if any?
I was a director on a sanitary improvement district in Nebraska in 1988, and our objective was to get annexed by the city of Bellevue, and we were successful, so we went out of business after that.
Have you participated in any Community Association Institute CAI activities or training?
I've been to the last two CAI events they've had, training, vendor fairs, the last two, and I completed the CAI Director Certificate course in January 2024.
Have you read this HCR, CC&Rs, and bylaws?
Many times.
Okay. What is required to amend the articles of the HCR, CC&Rs?
The CC&R has to have a majority, to amend it, has to have a majority vote of the voting power of the community. So it's 50% of 1904 plus one.
Okay. What is required to amend the use restrictions in Exhibit B of the CC&Rs?
Not sure I know.
Okay.
I've never had to look that up, so I'm not sure I know.
Okay. What is required to amend the HCR bylaws?
The bylaws dictate how the Board of Directors operates, does business. So it's a vote of the Board of Directors. So a majority of 5 currently to change the bylaws, and then they have to be certified or registered with the county.
Okay. What is required to amend the design guidelines?
Same process. They recommended from the ARC-MOD committee. They make a recommendation to the board, and the board votes on them to create changes to the ARC design guides.
Okay. What funds does the Finance Committee assist the board with managing?
Well, we have 3 operating funds. Well, we have an operating fund, we have a reserve fund, and we have a capital investment fund. The Finance Committee monitors all of that, all of the postings, all of the charges against the budget for all of those funds.
Okay. What investments are permissible for the association's funds?
The association is limited to government backed funds. So in the past we've used treasury notes, treasury bonds, but primarily we're using certificates of deposit right now.
Okay. What is the deadline for preparation of the budgets?
Well, the budget has to be approved in 60 days prior to the end of the year. So it has to come up in October's business, and it's approved by the Board of Directors.
Have you read the Texas Property Codes section 202, 204, 207, or 209?
I spent a lot of time in 209 because it's the primary document that controls how the boards operate. I've looked at 202 a little bit, not the others so much, but 209 primarily.
Okay. Texas Property Code 209 lists 15 items that the board must vote on in an open meeting.
Right.
Please name 3 of those.
Well, 3 is any 209 appeal. They have to vote on whether they accept or deny that appeal without identifying names, so our board uses case numbers. One of the others is I want to say changes to the bylaws, and also changes to the CCNRs.
Okay. Name 2 items that the Texas Property Code allows the board to consider in executive session.
Well, all the details of any 209 appeal have to be in the executive session. They can also, anything that has to do with people's names, any personal information has to be taken care of in an executive session.
Okay. What is a 209 hearing?
209 hearing, predominantly is if a change to your property is denied by the ARCMOD committee, then you can apply for a 209 review, and then the board of directors has to do that in executive session and make a decision whether to accept or deny it.
Okay. What is the relationship between the community manager and the members of the board? Specifically, who directs the community manager?
So the community management company is a contractual relationship, and the board of directors manages that contract just like they manage all the other contracts. And the relationship with the community manager is the board president is the liaison and can direct the community manager. The board cannot direct other employees of the contract management company.
What is the relationship between the board members and the CCMC staff members? Specifically, who directs the actions of the staff?
Only the community manager can direct the staff. Now, the board has some authority in selection of certain positions that are called out in the contract, but they cannot direct any of those positions.
Have you been fined or sued by the HOA?
No, I've not.
Have you ever brought a lawsuit against the HOA or demanded that the HOA enter arbitration over a claim that you've made?
I have not.
Okay. What future amenities would you support in HCR?
There's so many that people want to have. Our challenge in HCR is any amenity requires real estate, and we own about 330 acres, but it's separated into 121 parcels. So finding space for an amenity is going to be difficult. I do think that we need a maintenance shop because we can't do our own maintenance. We're working on a storage shed. Those are probably the 2 big ones from a community standpoint. Anything else is going to be a social amenity. People have talked about dog parks, they've talked about a lot of other stuff, but from a management standpoint, I think a maintenance facility and now the storage facility.
Okay. Well, we would like to thank you because this concludes your interview.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're very welcome.